Welcome back to another episode of the Grimaldo Group. Today I'm here with a celebrity. I know she doesn't think she's a celebrity. To me, she's a celebrity. Wendy Patton. Wendy, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Juan. No, never call me that.
No,
I'm just like anyone else, right?
100%.
It's just that, I was able to make some stuff happen in real estate, and I love it.
So yeah, I mean, we've been having fun with what we've been doing. So what have you been up to lately?
Well, this morning I was playing pickleball. I told you that.
She loves pickleball.
I'm trying to relax a little in my life and, not be such a hard worker anymore because I worked a lot of hours, Juan.
We actually tend to do that. I was watching, you know who Ryan Serhant is, right?
No, I'm
glad you don't.
But okay.
He's a very prominent. He has the brand Serhant luxury. He does luxury.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, he's done great. I followed his career. I've been watching his shows, and again, I'm a geek when it comes to real estate. So he's at a point where he's doing really, really great. Yeah. And they're selling this building in Miami, which is the Mercedes-Benz building.
Oh, wow.
And he's doing, and I kind of identify with him, and I think that's where I'm going with you on this. We love what we do so much that we're always going.
Yeah.
And we forget the reason why we're going.
Right.
So I think you're enjoying that. So he was at the event, and instead of enjoying the event, because it's Mercedes-Benz, they have a lot of people. And one of the executives told him, hey, yes, we're here to have fun, but we need to sell some units.
That's right.
So he was focused, and his wife approached him, how you doing? He's like, good. And he's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. Look, we've sold so many. He's like, relax and enjoy. And I can see you doing that. Because
finally,
yes,
it's very nice. Yeah.
We keep moving the flag.
Yeah.
And I think you can relate to this. I'm sure in one of the talks with Gary Keller, you probably had a conversation like this, because I love the man. He's very wise. And a lot of times we don't take time to enjoy, which you are. So Congratulations for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people don't. They have successful businesses, and it is hard to kind of unwind that or to get out of that routine and habit. And it was hard for me. I mean, I remember talking to people that were helping me in this, I don't know if you've ever heard of Life in Air or the business.
I'm going to get this closer to
Business Builders workshop. Well, I've worked with some really great coaches that kind of helped me look at my life, Juan, and say, what's next for you, Wendy?
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, nothing. This is what I do. This is who I am. And they're like, no, this is not who you are. This is what you do. And how are you going to unravel this at some point? And I said, well, I don't really want to because I have nothing else I want to do.
Right.
And they said, well, that's the problem, right? We need to figure out what else you like to do in life. Because, what good is it, Juan, if you spend your whole life just working and you have success and then you don't have time to either spend it or enjoy it or be with your family. And my grandkid and my daughter's out here watching right now. Just because we're going to go hang out a little bit, and that's important to me now. I didn't have as much time when my kids were little.
Right.
And I want to spend time with them.
Well, let's give people a little bit of perspective as to who Wendy is. So let's take you back from, growing up. Where were you born?
I was born and raised at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs and was a military brat. My dad was the assistant athletic director there and a swimming coach. And because they always won, he never had to move.
Oh, okay.
So even though he was military, I wasn't one of those brats that got moved around.
That's awesome.
Just all my friends left me, but they got moved around.
You get new friends quite often.
Yeah. So but I lived there until I graduated from college at the University of Colorado. Then I moved to Michigan. I spent 40 years there, and now I go between Michigan and Arizona.
Right. You have a special place up there, right, in your heart?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're still doing real estate.
A little, yeah. I will always do a little, but I work probably 10 to 15 hours a week now instead of 60 to 80.
Right.
So a little better.
How long ago did you change that lifestyle? Recently?
Little by little. So actually when I knew you, I owned the Keller Williams here.
Right.
And that was probably at my peak of all the hours. And that was one of the first businesses I decided to sell because you start to have to look at, okay, what do you have going? And then how can you reduce it little by little? You can't just say, oh, I'm going to go from 100 miles an hour to 0 or to 10. How am I going to get? So I just kind of looked at all my businesses and go, okay, I'm overwhelmed with all of it. Let's just get rid of a little. Reset. Get rid of another one. Reset. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with your time, right? And then now it's down to, I mean, I still run the Michigan Real Estate Investors Group. I still do a lot of hard money lending. And I do some flips. I did a couple last year, but only if they're brought to me on a silver platter. I don't look for any of them. But if someone says, hey, I've got this deal, and I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
Let me take a look at it.
So I only did a couple last year, but they were really, really juicy good ones. Okay.
Awesome.
And I do a little bit of sales, real estate sales. I have 2 listings coming up, but only because it's past clients and people I know. Otherwise, I would never go looking for them anymore.
Are these here in the city or out in Michigan?
No, I let my license go here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy. You made it. Okay, that's purposeful.
I didn't want to be tempted here. As a matter of fact, it just finally went back to the state. You know, when that email comes, you're like, they're going to remove your license. I'm like, do I really want to give that up? What if and I'm like, Wendy, let it go.
Yeah.
Because I live in an over 55 community. And as you probably know, I could crush it there if I wanted.
Well, you're the soul of the place. I mean, you're always playing pickleball. You're in the community.
I would be like, but I could really be an amazing real estate. Because think about, I mean, over 55 is hey, if your agents are listening, you should be thinking about this. If you could target that and really learn about that, because think about it. People either die, decide they're going to move back near their children. Mm-hmm. They thought, I'm going to live in the sun. And now their kids are in Minnesota and they can't handle being away from them, or they're getting older, or they move into assisted living, or like us, we moved to 3 different houses. We're now in
already
the 3rd one. Yeah.
No way. So the one community we were celebrating at is no longer there. You moved 2 times already.
Yep.
Wow. Why is that?
Well, the first one was a 1-bedroom den. The second one was like a 2-bedroom den. And then my grandkids live in Verado.
Okay.
And I thought, if they ever come spend the night or anything with me, like, I need a 3rd bedroom. I need another bedroom. And so I, being in real estate, you're always looking.
I'm not going to say anything. We just moved 2 weeks ago. So
you did?
Just up the street. Same thing. Same community.
And I just have like an amazing, I'm very particular about the view.
Right. Oh,
and
definitely.
So for me,
that's what we did.
The view.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably neighbors.
We might be.
I mean, we are neighbors. Victory's
really
behind me.
Really close, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're very close to me. So I am, I actually back to the white tanks, and it's just, love it.
Love it.
I absolutely love that. And so, and the same thing with Michigan, to me, that was always the real estate, location.
For sure.
So we live on a lake in Michigan and then with the mountains here. So love it.
Congrats. All right. So give more perspective to people. So you started investing in real estate, and that's how we met. She was the broker owner of the, not the broker, but you were the owner of the.
I was the broker at the Verado office for a little bit. Right. I actually was.
Definitely.
I hate being a broker, but I am a broker.
You had to be.
Yeah.
So, and then, so you started, let's take Wendy back to, how did you get into real estate?
So when I graduated from the University of Colorado and I got this job in Michigan, and my mother she passed away a year ago, but she lived an amazing, great life, Juan. I mean, I can't say anything. She died at 93, but
awesome.
She was my inspiration. So when I was 20, let me see, I graduated when I was 21. She went to a seminar probably right before my 21st birthday, and a real estate seminar, and bought a real estate course and brought it home. And my dad said, no, we're not doing this. We're not going to do this investing thing. That's ridiculous. So she knew I was moving to Michigan. She goes, hey, Wendy, can you take this for me? Will you do something with it?
Oh.
And just for me, just like do a deal, And I was like, okay. So the whole way to Michigan, I was listening to the course. And I remember getting there thinking, I don't want to work. I mean, I had a job, and I kept my job, but I thought that's for sure what I want to do. And so I just started buying deals right away. I bought my first one within 6 months, my own primary residence, because there was nowhere to live in Michigan when I first moved there. Because,
really?
Well, yeah. I don't know if you remember, Ross Perot had moved. His company had moved 15,000 people in, and I was with his company. 15,000 people in to take over the GM stuff. So there was nowhere to live. You couldn't get an apartment, a hotel.
So real estate was hot.
It was for a moment there, because we were all in hotels with a waiting list to get into any apartments.
Wow.
So but of course, my friends got the Hilton, I got the Red Roof Inn. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I was in a hurry to get out of there. But so I bought my first house, but her course that course that my mom gave me made me realize, like, I really she knew that the way to future financial freedom was through real estate. And I was able to take that course and just expand it into a whole nother level that I don't think my parents ever expected that.
So the course changed your life.
Changed my life. I don't even know who wrote it anymore.
And you know what? One of the things that I give, and my daughter can attest to this, I give books to everybody. I just sent another book. I think I send a book a day to people. Oh, wow. And one of the books that I share is The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, which the one you're featured in. And that book has allowed me, I got goosebumps, from being a high school dropout, not knowing what to do, immigrant, never going to school, never going to college, to we're almost at 20 properties. And we just started 6 years ago. Right. I love it. And this is where people, I encourage people to come and join. You're going to be speaking on one of our events, which is basically a course or a little kind of like an introduction to learn how to become wealthy through real estate. Yeah. It's not a get rich quick scheme.
No,
it takes time, yet it's powerful. The freedom you have and you've had. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more.
I mean, when you said it's not a get rich quick thing, I love that you said that, because it is a get rich faster than other things.
Amen.
Thing, but it's not a get rich quick. Mm-hmm. I remember my first deal. Okay, first of all, when I started in '85, with that job in Michigan, I made $20,000 a year, so it's about like $10 an hour, right?
Right.
And
I'm sure back then it was a good salary.
And it was not great, but it was. But it's what it was, right? And my company didn't pay as well as really a lot of others. But I remember my first flip, and I made $20,000.
Wow!
In a flip, I thought, wow, this is like crazy. Like I just made as much as I make for the whole year on this little flip, and I thought, well, maybe it's just like a fluke. So it really took me a long time with real estate to feel comfortable that it was real for me to leave my job.
Because it was maybe a luck. It was luck, right, that I made this deal.
Maybe it wasn't that. And then, of course, I got married. I had twins. I got divorced. I was a single mom. So it was kind of this and then it starts all over, And then it was like, okay, now I really have to figure this out, how to make this thing work. And then I just started. I didn't have a lot of money, at the time. So I started to learn how to be creative. And that's really where my specialty came in, which is lease options, subject twos, creative seller financing. And that's like a very big way for people to get in.
I thought it was the newest, hottest thing.
Yeah, that's been around forever, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just became a real expert in that and just grew a huge portfolio with that. And then, of course, now many years later, because, those things start snowballing, and this is what I try to help people really understand, is that for years you work for money. But if you never learn how to get money working for you, you never become wealthy.
100%. You got to start working. Sergio, one of our lenders, he has a saying that, money works harder than you do. And I can see it. Because my properties have been appreciating, and then from those properties I've been able to buy more properties, and they've created some kind of wealth that I wouldn't be able to even save. There's no way. I don't have that money saved up. It's a few bucks.
Right. And then over time, as those get paid off, then
it's exponential.
It's exponential. So I remember I used to do, and this is something I really, really have a passion for, and I'm actually helping people now. This is a whole nother thing, my new life, with pickleball and stuff, is also, I have a couple of people that I'm helping that are financial trouble, to help them reset and learn about budgeting and financial freedom and learn about, becoming debt-free, because it doesn't happen overnight. But how do you get to that point where, again, your money starts working for you? Because, what's happening in our country? Like, are the rich getting richer?
It's always been the case. And it'll always be the case, because the more wealth you have, especially as you know how to manage that wealth and grow it.
Yep.
But that's one of the biggest things. Most people think that saving money is the way to go. It's growing the wealth and using other people's money. It's like real estate is the easiest place or easiest way to get into wealth.
Yep.
When you come in and you buy a property with $10,000, $12,000, and then 5-10 years from now, it's worth another $200,000.
Right.
Out of your $10,000 that you put in.
Right.
It's like
your return.
Exactly. The return investment is huge. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the few countries that allows you that opportunity.
You're right about that.
Exactly.
We are very fortunate.
100%.
To have the opportunity to have the freedom to do that and the opportunity to do that. It's really, we are very blessed to be able to do that here. And then, so what I did, then Juan, maybe this is one of the other things I started winding down years, probably 5 or 7 years ago, my husband was like, honey, if you get hit by a bus, I don't want the properties, please start selling them. And I was fine with that also, Juan, because I started doing, by the time they had gone up so much and I did the math, and mine were all free and clear, right? So but not to start with, but I'm talking, even now I still have properties that are all free and clear because I've had them a long time, but, and I would sell every one of them, but the ones I have left I have a partnership with.
Okay.
And it's my best friend in Michigan, and she wants that cash flow every month. But I have been able to go through with her and say, look, Deb, look, let's look at the cash flow. Like, you have to actually look at it now. Like, when you get to a certain point, you go, okay, we had one this year where we had 10, we only had 10 left. And so we have 9 now. I talked her into selling one. I said, Deb, let's sell this one. We got this property back. We have 180 net in it. Now this is Michigan, okay? And it's in an inner city Michigan, not Detroit, but Pontiac is kind of similar. So we had 180 net, and I said, do you know, I have this investment. We could put it in, hands off. We will make $1,800 net a month plus another $500 a month when this thing is over. And I said, let's look back at our history. So we had this property for like 20 some years, So I looked at the P&L for the last 5 years. And I said, okay, what do we net every year on that particular property? And we had only netted about $500-600 per month on that property. Way. And I said, well, because
of the maintenance?
Well, yeah, because you got maintenance,
they got older
management.
Now. True.
And that was with no mortgage. Juan.
Right.
No mortgage. So I said that's why I felt like we needed to sell it, because at that point, and we didn't 1031 exchange it because we didn't have enough. I didn't want another property, right? So I said, let's pay the gain and move it into this other thing. And the first, year was enough because we did it last spring, right? So you have a year before your taxes on that. And I said, that money will pay for, our capital gains or whatever on that. And then we're free and clear after that. So I look at things like that. I always look at what's the opportunity for the money? What's the opportunity for the equity, right? At first, when you're getting started, you're putting like a little bit down or whatever, or very minimal down. And then, the equity starts to build because you pay off the mortgage. Hopefully the property appreciates in value, although we don't buy property for appreciation.
No, it's appreciation.
It's a bonus, right? But over time, we pay it off and pay down that debt. And we know over time, in theory, it should be, appreciating as well. But then you start looking at like your net worth. And so I always track my net worth.
Yep.
So I have a little spreadsheet. I would put everything in it. And about every 6 months, I would go back through and I'd okay, now what's that property worth? And okay, what other ones did I buy? Which ones did I sell? Kind of what are my bank balances right at this moment? What does my net worth look like? And it was negative when I started. Okay, it was like in the whole red. And then you just see like it goes. And there's this saying, slowly, suddenly.
Yes.
It goes like this, your net worth, and then all of a sudden it's like whoosh. And that's why I think the rich people get really richer. It just happens because they have so many more opportunities. When you have money, people will come to you with things that'll say, hey, I'll give you 20% on your money. And you're like, well, okay, that doubles in 3.5 years. That's not a bad thing.
It's really, really good. And I think that you've done a genius thing when it comes to looking for what's next, right? Looking for the next opportunity, because you're in different stages in life. Like right now,
you're young.
We're in a growth process, right?
Exactly.
Like Andres, he bought his third home. He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching him the stuff that I've learned, right? From the MREI, from you, from other friends that I have that are investors. And when you are young, you have time to do that. When you get to a certain age, you can change your vehicle and put it in something where it's more really passive.
Exactly.
Where you don't have to be managing it, dealing with it. Maybe the return isn't as high, but you don't have to be involved.
Or maybe it's even higher.
Even higher.
You have to evaluate, right?
100%, because you may think that you're making more, but when you do the math, then that's when it really comes up.
That's why if you really track your properties, which I do, I've always tracked every business, every property. My bookkeeping is really like, I have a really good bookkeeper who's been with me for many years, and she I track everything. And all my properties by class and QuickBooks. That's why I could run the report on that particular property and see exactly where it was with, everything's tracked to that property. And we have a property manager because I don't like tenants, toilets, or calls.
For sure.
I don't want to know who they are. I don't want to show it to them. But I did for like 20 some years. I actually had a property management company that I owned, and then I sold it to the lady who ran it for me, and she's the one who manages for me still to this day.
That's awesome.
And that's been, 35 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Years.
That's good history. So I think it's important to note that, again, not a get-rich-quick scheme. However, it's a good way to build your value little by little. Tracking, so that's something that I didn't do before, and I'm blessed that I was able to get a coach. That coach showed me those sheets, and I have my net worth. I do it with my kids and my wife every month. To track it. One thing that I just learned today is having each property in a QuickBooks account.
QuickBooks class. So when you have, if you use QuickBooks, so that I don't have an entity for every property because I think that's a lot of filing, and there's a lot. Some people say that. I just put a group of them in a particular LLC when it gets to like $1 million of net asset, then somewhere in that range. Then I get extra insurance for that. For me, I have an umbrella policy anyway that covers anything, because that's usually what people say. Well, in case you get sued, they'll go after everything in the LLC. Well, limit it by some amount, and then your umbrella policy can cover that. But then, so everything in that LLC, when you put them in QuickBooks, do you have a bookkeeper that does everything? So everything's by class. So each property is a class. So then you run a report on your profit and loss statement by class. So then it'll show me. So everything that gets documented, though. Okay, the air conditioner got fixed for 123 XYZ Street. The utility bill, because it was vacant, was 123 XYZ Street. It gets that. So it's called class tracking, and you can't enter anything in there without putting the class.
Okay.
And then I have one for general. Like, there's always a general category, which means it's not anyone. It's like my insurance for the whole thing, or it's my bookkeeping for the whole thing, or it's my my accountant's bill for that LLC. That's general.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so I can see when I run my reports, when I get my reports from my bookkeeper, they're always by class, because I want to know what's performing. And I really learned this I've always tracked by class, but I remember one of my CPAs, I had the same CPA for 30 years, but he kind of is wound down, and so now I have a new one. But I remember one time I bought this 3-unit one, and in theory, it was supposed to be really good, And for whatever reason, it just seemed like there was always a vacant unit. There was always something wrong. And I remember my class tracking, that 3-unit was 1 unit. It's, because it's one building. And it was always negative. And every year at the end of this was went on for about 3 years. My CPA would say, Wendy, this one's in the red. What's going on here? And I'd go, oh, it's because my tenant moved, or they didn't pay, or, there was some reason. And he goes, why don't you just sell it? And I said, because it's going to make money. So the next year, same thing. It took about 3 years for me. And he goes, look, man, it's your money. But if you can't see that this property's negative and it doesn't bother you, I shouldn't care about your money more than you do.
Right.
And that hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so right. I sold that property. It was such a relief too. Because it never did make money, which means all my other properties were supporting that stupid thing,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so it helps you really look at it. Even when I do a flip, I always have it as a separate class. So I know what I netted on that property. It's not like, oh, I think I made about 50 grand on that. No, I know I made $47,922 or whatever. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of flips, you did a really cool flip in Michigan, the mansion.
Yeah, that was my favorite deal I've ever done. I've been doing this 40 years, Juan. And this last fall, a friend of mine who's in real estate, she was one of my agents at the Keller Williams in Michigan, but she's also a very dear friend. And she now works with a probate attorney. So she called me up. She goes, hey, I got this mansion of a house, and this lady's got all these other properties in Detroit too. And it's a sweet area. It's really, really good. It's kind of a hoarder house though, but I think it's got a lot of good stuff in there. If you want it, you got to pay cash, and you got to be willing to close quick, because in Michigan we have a foreclosure rules where you have 6 months of redemption. Well, she died and it went to foreclosure. But because it was in Michigan, you get 6 months to redeem. But if it's vacant and not attended to, then they can kind of expedite that. Well, the next door neighbor had bought it at sheriff's sale. And she came to me and said, look, I don't have time to put it on the market. they're going hard after this vacancy thing and they want to get access. So if you want this property, you got to pay cash, got to close quick and get it writing. And I'm like, no problem. So I said, let me see it. Let's go. So we literally jumped in the car that day, went down there, and it was this it was built in the 1800s, and it was phenomenal, beautiful. Woodwork was phenomenal, in great shape, but the roof was leaking. It was one of those old slate roofs. I mean, not my normal thing I do, because it was like 8,200 square feet plus the basement, which was 3,000 square feet.
Wow.
And full of stuff. That doesn't scare me, but it was like, there's a lot of stuff in there. And it was mostly really good stuff, but we took 18 dumpsters out of there before we had the estate sale. But when I went in there, I went in with her, and we were like trying to get, like some of the rooms you couldn't even open the door, and you're like,
No
oh
way.
my gosh, oh yeah, full of stuff. And one room I kind of like open, and there was like the shoe rack right there. And I saw those red bottom shoes. 2 pairs of them. And I was like, I picked it up, and I was like, the Christian Louboutin, I was like, and I wouldn't even know what they were. Had my friend not just bought a pair, because I'm not a designer person, really. I don't care about that stuff. But my friend does. And so she had just bought a pair for her son's wedding. And so she was telling me all about it. I was like, okay. So I knew what it was. I mean, otherwise I would have never known. And so I grabbed him. I'm like, oh. And then there was like, so I knew there was stuff buried there
Quality
that was good.
Stuff, yeah.
So I said, I'm going to do this one. And in 40 years, I bought a lot of hoarder houses, but I have never touched one thing in them. I've always said to my guys, look, I don't care if you find $1 million in here. I don't care what you find in here. It's yours. You don't have to tell me about it. It's yours. Just get this stuff out. Get it to the dumpster and get it ready for me to rehab. And I don't know if they've ever found stuff or not. I don't really know. But this one, I said, nobody touches a thing without me.
There must have been some historic cool stuff in there.
Very.
Right?
Yeah, very.
So what was the coolest thing you found?
Well, it was a brothel. And it was a brothel in the 1990s.
Wow.
Not the 1800s, the 1990s. It was a woman who owned it. She had no children, no husband. And she was in her 70s.
Wow.
And so this is why it went into foreclosure, and it had to go through probate. And it ended up being her brother that was in some other state. He was almost 80. Well, he didn't want that. And apparently they didn't really talk, which I found out later. Maybe he didn't like the brothel thing, that she was a madam or whatever. I don't know. But she worked her way through medical school as a brothel and never got arrested or anything.
Oh, it was like clandestine. Like it was, yeah.
Oh, everyone knew about it. All the neighbors. Oh, yeah. And so I said, well, of course, I asked the question, I'm like, well, why didn't anyone turn it in? They said they did. She had cops coming, officials coming.
Okay.
They were customers.
So it was hard for,
yeah. So they never shut it down. But apparently, anyway, so that was like part of the whole thing when, you're like uncovering all this stuff. But I did find about 30 pairs of those amazing shoes.
Wow.
Like not all that brand. You name the brand, I found them. Any brand almost that are high end. I found about 30 pairs of really high end shoes, and they're my size.
No way. Did you keep them?
Oh, they were like this high, Juan. Now, she was not one of the ladies. She was the madam, but she did like her little stilettos, and they were really high. I mean, I'd break my ankle. And, like I said, it's really not my thing, so they all sold at the estate sale.
That's awesome.
So I had an estate sale company come, and they sold all this stuff. And, because it was a brothel and because it was a big mansion in Detroit and in a good area, the estate sale company was able to get the TV to do a story on it. The news did a story on it. It was in the newspaper. So this particular estate sale went from a Thursday morning through a Monday afternoon, 5 days straight. And there was a line out the front door and around the street every day, all day. Because they would only let about 50 people in, and then they would, as people would leave, they would bring a few more, and there was always a line outside, 100%. Wow. And so it was crazy. Nothing was really expensive in that place that sold, but there was just so many things that were, $20, $50, $80, and it sold like 75 grand worth.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm. It was crazy. So that
How
was
much did you buy it for, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I bought it for $400.
$400,000.
The guy next door, I think he bought it for like $280, $290 something. So they said it's got to be like $400, and if it's more than what he paid, then we'll sell it to you. And I was like, okay. And so I had to put a roof on it. Oh, I sold it at the sale.
At the estate sale?
At the estate sale. So it only took me 3 weeks to empty it out for the estate sale. So it took us 3 weeks. It was a lot. Like I said, 18 dumpsters. And I helped with it. My daughter helped with it. And I had another girl and then a group of guys, mostly that were working like on a Saturday and Sunday, a couple of them could work during the week. Because they would lift all the heavy stuff. I mean, there was a lot of heavy stuff that was like garbage, all those dumpsters and stuff like that. And it was 4 stories high, so getting everything down.
Wow.
We had this window, we like threw out the window and get it into the dumpster. It was crazy. But it took about 3 weeks to get it completely ready for this estate sale. And then they came in and I said to the estate sale guy, I go, look, here's the deal. I'm going to print flyers for this and you have to put them in every bag. Like every person who checks out of here, they get a flyer of this house for sale. And the second day I got a call from a guy and he said, hey, my friend went to the estate sale. They said that I might want to buy this house and can I see it? And I said, yeah, but you got to come before the estate sale or it's a madhouse in here. You won't even be able to see it. Meet me tomorrow morning, 8 or 8:30, so you can really have time in here when no one's in here but the estate sale people. And because otherwise it was a madhouse. It was like everywhere. And he came and his wife came in and they go, well, how much are you asking for? I said, 800. And they said, okay, we'll take it.
No way. Very good. Cash?
Yep. No, they needed a mortgage. He's a doctor and I don't know what she does, but he was a doctor, OBGYN, I think. And they had lived around the corner, but they needed something bigger. They have 5 kids, and I think they just got together. I don't know the details, but so they bought it. But then, would you believe, like right when the mortgage? So there's a little twist to it. It actually ended up closing for $770 because the lender's appraiser said it only measured at 7,300 square feet, not 8,200 square feet. Now I had blueprints for 8,200.
Wow!
But mind you, I'm already back here. And in Arizona, and it's getting cold there. And I can't find, he said, I've measured it twice, Wendy. And I'm like, well, I got blueprints, from a architect or whatever. And so I just said, fine, I'll take $770. Let's call it a day.
You made money though.
Oh, yeah. Well, I put a roof on it. My guys fixed all the plaster and we cleaned it out. And then the estate sale covered all the clean out and a little bit more. And I put a new roof on it. That was a pretty expensive roof on it, but nothing
it's a unique house, so
very unique. And it was a really good one.
It was
a good one. And it was interesting. So the shoes, I got the shoes. But there was that one good person there, and I said she had a boyfriend. This doctor, she had a boyfriend, and I think he must have known purses, but maybe not shoes, because there was no gold, no silver. No purses.
Wow.
But a lot of designer shoes and clothes, which we put in this estate sale. The only thing we found is I found one pair of silver hoop earrings, which I wear for pickleball, and these.
Wow.
These were like little gold. It's the first time I've ever worn them actually because it matched my shirt. But they're like these little purple. I don't know what the stone is, and it's all gold filigree. But one of them was kind of smushed. That's the only thing we found like that.
Wow.
And so we found a lot of coins, but nothing like, a couple $100. I gave them to my team that was working there. But I took them to the jewelry store and they go, well, we'll give you like $160 for the gold or fix them for $70. I said, fix them. But then gold went up like 2 or 3 times after that. Because it was like 1 month later, gold started going crazy.
That's awesome.
But so maybe they're worth 400, 500. I don't care. It was
they
just
were
a
probably way
memory
more.
for me. It was a memory. I wanted it.
Definitely. No, that was a good one. I saw the house. I actually went and saw the video you shared.
Oh, you did?
Me. Yeah. That was an interesting story.
It's a very interesting story. And that was really one of my fun ones. And, you can see because I light up. I worked on it. I actually physically loaded garbage in bags with my kids and enjoyed every moment of it. It was crazy because I would never touch stuff like that. I'm like, guys, you can have it. Do it. But awesome. It's those kind of things. And again, it's who you know sometimes. And because my friend knew that I had the cash, that I could do it quickly, right? And I could close quick. And, those are the opportunities that come to people that as you build a network and you build assets that you have the ability to do because they're brought to you.
Yep. If something comes up, you'll be able to, right? Because they say that success is when preparation meets opportunity. Well, if that opportunity would have come by and you didn't have the means to do it,
then I'd be like, shoot.
Oh, it sounds really good, right? In theory. But you wouldn't have been able to. That's why it's important, guys. I'm going to do this just last. Do you have anything else you want to share before we go?
No, because we're going to, besides what we're going to talk about really creative stuff and really cool things, how to buy properties without money or credit at our event, and anything else you guys want to talk about real estate wise.
For sure. So please come on over. It's going to be April 4th. Wendy's going to give us the opportunity to hang out with her.
Yeah.
And she's going to share a load of information. We don't charge for any of this stuff. We want to share what we know. And
awesome.
We do it with gusto because it's changed our life. We want this to be life-changing for you as well. So thank you again, Wendy, for coming over. Thank you for bringing your daughter and your grandkid.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
It's awesome that they see you in action. So we're super happy and looking forward to seeing you again in the event.
Thank you.
Thank you
See you
so much.
then.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Please like, share, and follow. See you later.